Welcome. My name is Dr. Harry Cohen. I'm the author of Be the Sun, Not the Salt. And we are continuing in our Gentle Nudge series. I'm joined by my co-host of our Be the Sun, Not the Salt podcast, Chief Super Spreader Connie Fontaine.
This is chapter 25, Decide What Matters Most. And today is a good one because there's so many good nuggets in this little chapter that we want to share.
So what nuggets stood out for you?
So you know what nugget in reflecting back, and I think for listeners, this is really important. The practice of just, this is not a book you read and walk away from. You kind of look at it, you come back to it. So in preparing today, what was really important to remember is, yes, something could be really important, but sometimes in the moment, it's okay to walk away and address it later. So just take a beat. And I think that was a good one this morning for me to be reminded of.
What did you have to walk away from?
No, it was a reminder that sometimes it's like, well, I can't walk away from this. This is so important that I address this with this person. And probably this weekend, I walked away a bunch of times and I was feeling mad that I was walking away because it was important to me. But the fact is, oh, wait, that was okay. I didn't address it in the moment. I addressed it later, and it worked out better because of that.
Yeah, because I think you were remembering what matters. And you know, it's certainly easier with age. You know, those of us who have decades of life experience know, don't make a mountain out of a molehill, learn to see it in its proper perspective. We do know what matters most, you know, and that is, man, oh man, helpful as hell. And I'm still learning it through life experiences. And remembering what matters most is true for our whole lives. I hope I can keep remembering what matters in a given day. Because, you know, crumbs on the counter or a cupboard left open, difference does it make? Just close the cupboard. Right. Just wipe it down. Just wipe down the counter. So it's helpful as hell for me.
Yeah, I think the big stuff, you know, I think we talk a lot about relationships, and whether it's employees, whether it's friends, family. I think adult children can be sometimes the most challenging relationship because there's this newness of how you relate to each other. And I find I often, just in a stream of consciousness, will say something that I think is either helpful or I just think is kind of obvious that I would say as a mom. And the difference is it's not. It can be interpreted so differently by them. And I think it's important because I'm the mom and I want them to live their best lives. So I think it's important to say it. And it's not important to them in the moment because they don't need that. They don't at least feel they need it.
This whole category of how to parent adult children is a whole world that I'm not a grandparent. But if I were, I would imagine I would be challenged to discover, well, wait a minute, what to say, what not to say about my children's parenting. Well, I don't have to, I don't get to do that yet. I hope I do one day, Connie. I know you do. But I certainly have grown children. They're 33. And I have learned, and I'm still learning, wait a minute, comment on what I think will make the most good here. And I have to remember, that doesn't matter. Don't say anything.
Right. No, it is true. And it comes out, sometimes it's so innocent and it's never, not never, it's likely to me that I'm thinking I'm being helpful. So again, in the relationship, I continue when I apologize because I do the next right thing and apologize for inserting myself or saying something that wasn't fair. And yet I also ask for forgiveness and help to say, just remember, this is a new moment for me as a grandmother. I don't have the right to tell you just because. And I think that's helpful too.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, knowing that my relationship with my kids and my husband are the most important things to me, remembering that I want them to feel good and have their best day and their best self, I think is what drives me to continue to work towards that.
And that, remembering that in terms of remembering what matters most, is very clarifying. One of the things that I love about these chapters, and this one in particular, is that it's very focusing. Hold on a second. What matters? Oh, right. And I can answer that. And it's just a helpful nudge on my left shoulder saying, hey, buddy, is this worth a discussion? Maybe not. Should I talk about this, address this? Let me think. Yes. Or, no, It's not necessary. I find it just helpful as hell.
I think in the chapter you call it being the person with the long fuse. And it's that ability to stop and do what you just did. Okay, how do I want this to come across? Does this matter? Does it matter, but maybe not in the moment? Does it not just have to be addressed later, maybe at a time where things aren't as, contentious? I think those little pieces of advice are the most important parts of this chapter is, yes, know who you are, what matters most to you, and who you want to be in the moment. But again, it's in the moment. It doesn't mean it's going away. You can ignore it if it doesn't matter most, but if it matters, you can take it on later.
Yeah. And I like the question. And you're the only one, we are the only people who can answer that question. The answer is not for us to give to anyone. The answer is for us to ask ourselves and answer it. That's okay. If you can't answer it, give some more time because you need to know. We need to know. I need to know.
How do you go through that decision process, Harry?
I ask myself. I either keep it to myself, reflect on it, contemplate it, come up with the answer and act, or I'll talk it over with someone, an intimate, my wife, a dear friend, a colleague. Let me ask you something. You think I should say something about this? It was a small thing, but let me get your bounce. Here's what I think. What do you think? I like all of those strategies. My own contemplation and asking a trusted colleague, what do you think? And I don't mind reflecting on it.
That's great advice because as you know, if you care a lot about what people think and it's not necessarily a good thing. I care often what people think of me, what people think in the situation. I can, often just assume somebody is reacting in a way because of what I think they mean. And when I ask you, you're very practical. No, I just don't think that's important. And so if you're not able to make that decision, I think it's a great idea to ask somebody that you trust.
Yeah, there's lots of examples of this. Remember who's in your green room. Remember who's in your corner. Remember to keep good company so that you have a group of people around you, your own personal board of directors, people you can run it by and say, hey, am I making a mountain out of a molehill here? Yeah, I think it's important. I think you should talk about it. Or maybe not.
Those references you just made, that was out of our Tim Story podcast. Those couple of different lines stuck with me too. Who's in your corner refers to like the boxing ring. Who's that corner man who's not only going to see things you don't see, sees you at your best and sees you at your worst, was able to tell you and cheer you on, most importantly.
Let's keep doing it. I think we can learn from when we get stupid. In other words, when we get caught up in thinking that something matters when in fact it doesn't. I think that's helpful as hell. I think learning from when we make our mistakes is a good reminder. Oh, wait, that one doesn't matter. I'm going to let that one go next time. So I don't mind the mistakes. They're sometimes painful, but I think that's another helpful reminder to help us remember.
Yep. And try not to do that again, especially with that person. I'd say that's a good tip. In the chapter, there's a Victor Hugo quote that I thought sums all this up. It's change your opinions, keep your principles, change your leaves, keep intact your roots. Love that. That's a good wrap up for this chapter. Just, again, decide what matters most. Ask yourself over and over again. And if you need someone in your corner to bounce it off of, I think that would be a great next step. So good discussion, a good inspiration for all of us. Hopefully it inspired some additional thinking for you. Please pass this along. Invite others to join you on this Be the Sun, Not the Salt journey. Thank you for listening.